YouTube. My name is Wesley Henderson, and this is a companion video cast to a project that I started about a year ago on Facebook called What's Wrong with Wes. If you want to, you can go to facebook.com/What's Wrong with Wes and see kind of what I'm doing here. This is something that I had talked about doing at the same time back, like I said, about a year ago. This was supposed to be, just a companion to my blog and to the Facebook page to keep my friends and family updated on what was going on with me without spamming it on my normal Facebook page. This is nothing more than a platform for me to talk about the things that are going on with me and as kind of a therapy, because I've been to a psychologist. I didn't like going to a psychologist, partly because I have a degree in psychology, and then also the psychologist I was going to was one of those people that repeats the last few words of every sentence that you say, which is kind of distracting and off-putting, and I didn't really care for that. So I stopped going to my psychologist, and let's be honest, I kept forgetting about my appointments. I'm horrible that way. But I finally decided to start doing this, partly for my own outlet, and also to let other people that might be going through the same things know that you aren't alone out there. There are other people that are going through this. So this is going to be the introductory episode to what I'm hoping is going to last for a while, called What's Wrong with Wes. That's going to be the name of the YouTube page. It's also the name of the Facebook page. I may start blogging again. But one of the things I want to do is, in this episode, or in this cast, is talk about just why I'm doing this, what I'm doing, and why it looks the way it does. Number one, again, my name is Wesley Henderson. I'm 43 years old. I'm a dad. My partner is wonderful. Her name's Allison. My son's name is Ashton. He is one of the most awesome kids in the world. He and my partner are the reason that I get up in the morning and go to work every day. My partner, about a year and a half ago, saved my life. She literally saved my life. I had a massive heart attack, and I'll be talking about that here in just a little bit. Now, every once in a while, you'll see me look over here, and the reason that I do that is for different websites that I have information pulled up on, or if I need to read a definition, things like that. So why am I doing this? I know a lot of people will ask, why are you doing this? Why is a 43-year-old white guy living in suburbia needing to talk on YouTube to a bunch of strangers, essentially? Well, like I was saying earlier, it's not only because I need an outlet, and I've discovered I need an outlet, but it's also to give others a voice that may not feel comfortable doing this. I'm not comfortable doing this. This is extremely uncomfortable for me. I have been on stage before. I was an actor, but even then, this is not something that is good. It's not something that I normally would do. I don't normally talk about my problems. I'm usually the guy that other people call and talk about their problems with, and even if I don't give advice, or even if I don't give the best advice, I'm an ear. I'm there for them. But I've found out that over the years that keeping stuff bottled in just isn't good for me. It is something that I've had to deal with all my life, from being in an abusive household when I was a kid, up to constantly dealing with rejection because of my weight issues and body image issues, even though I never really admitted that back in the day. It was one of those things that I would stay depressed rather than fix the problem. and so it would keep eating at me. But subconsciously and even partly consciously, I knew that the problems were my problems and that I could fix them. I just didn't do it. A lot of the problems that you're going to hear me talk about do stem from my own action or inaction, and I recognize that. It doesn't make it easier to deal with. It really doesn't, but it does. I am cognizant of that fact. I do know I smoked for 27 years. I ate shitty food most of my life. The night that I had my massive heart attack that killed me, which I'm going to be talking about later, I ate a plate of frozen hot wings. Obviously I heated them up first. Not that's gross. If they were still cold, but I did heat them up. They were apparently delicious. From what my partner said, I ate an entire plate of them. I don't remember it, to be honest with you. I don't remember dying and then being brought back. But like I said, I'm going to be talking about that here in a little bit. But the other reason I'm doing this is because I'm dealing with a lot of stuff. I'm dealing with depression and anxiety. And when you're dealing with depression and anxiety, if you don't have an outlet, I found it just feeds on itself and makes the depression and the anxiety even worse and worse and worse, to the point where it can paralyze you, like literally paralyze your day-to-day activity, and it hurts physically. I've known other people that have gone through depression, and they talk about physical pain. I've had that same physical pain. It's not pleasant. It's not a fun thing to deal with, and so this is one of the platforms I'm using, as well as my writing and my Facebook page. And I do talk to some of my friends. I don't dump on everybody all at once, but if I think that I do need somebody to talk to in the moment, then I do have a couple of friends that I will text, or I'll call and say, hey, I really need to talk about this. Do you have a few minutes? And they're always there for me, because that's just the way they are. The one friend that I had that really he was the quintessential friend. He died a few years ago. He was the one that used to come get me from work at 1 o'clock in the morning. He was the one that would take me over to his house and let me crash there pretty much any time I needed to when I was trying to get on my feet. And I don't have him anymore, but all of my friends are like that. Any one of my friends I could call at any time, and they would be there for me. But I don't want to do that, and so I'm using this platform. So what happened? That's why am I doing this? What happened to cause all this in my life? Back in 2008, I had a heart attack, and it stemmed mostly from what I mentioned previously, eating shitty food. I used to weigh 360 pounds. Back in about 2000, 2001, I lost a lot of weight, but I was still extremely overweight, and I still ate really bad food. I like fried food. I like sugar, sweets, starchy food. I love food. It's just one of the things. Growing up in the South, with a mom who grew up in the 50s and 60s, cooking really starch heavy foods because she lived on a farm. That's the way she learned to cook, so that's the way she cooked for me and my brother when we were growing up. And I had really low metabolism the whole time too, even though I didn't realize it at the time. It wasn't until I started having these medical issues that I realized that it was partly to do with my thyroid. And back then it was a joke. There was you'd see it in movies and TVs. He's not fat; he just has a thyroid problem. Well, there's a reason that came about. It's because it's true. I didn't realize that was what was going on, and like I said, I just thought it was because I ate shitty food and I enjoyed shitty food, and it's really good. And then, like I said, I also smoked for about 27 years. So I had a heart attack in 2008, and then shortly after that, I met the person I'm with now, Allison. We got together, and then a few months later, I had another heart attack. And then during this time, they diagnosed me with Graves' disease. And what Graves' disease is it's a hyperactive thyroid. It's hyperthyroidism to an extreme degree. If you can see right here, that's my thyroid. This right here is my thyroid. If you look at your own reflection, or if you look at pictures of yourself, you're not going to see a neck that large. See, this makes me look like a bullfrog. Yeah, so that's hyperthyroidism. And what it does is it does the opposite of what used to go on with me. It speeds up my metabolism. It makes me, it floods my system with thyroid hormone, which controls metabolism, weight loss, things like that, and a lot of other things. I've recently, I found out over the last few years of researching this, it's really bad. One of the things that can happen if it's left unchecked is called a thyroid storm. And what a thyroid storm is it's where it floods your entire system. And it can actually shut down organs. It can speed your metabolism up by speeding your heart up. And that's what happened to me in June of 2014. I had a massive heart attack after I'd been working. I felt actually pretty good. By that point, I actually had stopped smoking. I had been working in the yard earlier that day, pulling weeds, and we were supposed to go to the zoo the next day. And I actually, from what my partner was telling me, I felt really good. And except for about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up clutching my chest, couldn't talk, and I was dying immediately. I mean, I died. My son apparently saw it, but he didn't understand what was going on. My wife sent him in another room to watch some TV while she called 911. She started chest compression, CPR, which ultimately saved my life. If she hadn't done that, I would be dead right now. So the EMTs get there, they take over, they take me to the emergency room, and then at the emergency room, they put me in what's called a Arctic sun chamber. And now, an Arctic sun chamber, it's called an Arctic sun medical device. You can find it on Wikipedia. It is a temperature management system. It's non-invasive. And what they do is they use water temperature and a sophisticated computer algorithm to take your body temperature down to 0.2 degrees Celsius, which is really, really cold for those of you that can convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. A core temperature, like I said, they take your core temperature down to basically save your life, to keep your heart from going too fast, which mine was. Mine was going to the point where it was almost to an exploding point. So they did this thing, and everybody that I've talked to in the medical community after this has happened are kind of surprised that I'm as functional as I am, because apparently, and even from what my partner was told at the time, most people that go through this come out with almost no ability to talk, almost no ability to convey thoughts and feelings and emotions. I mean, it basically makes you a vegetable, and I hate using that term, but that's kind of the vernacular, today. It does. It basically you're paralyzed. You're in a coma. I was in a coma for a few days, and then came out. I used to joke about the fact that I died, but I got better. But I really didn't get better. I just survived. And there's a huge, huge difference between getting better and surviving. Like I was saying at the beginning of this, I don't remember this. I remember kind of doing some yard work and then waking up in the hospital 3 days later trying to figure out what was going on. Apparently I actually woke up one day earlier than I remember waking up, but I had the tube down my throat and didn't know what was going on. I was trying to communicate with sign language. I know just a little bit of sign language, but I was asking about my son. I was asking what was going on, and I was trying to talk, which everybody that has a tube in their throat, as soon as they wake up, they always start trying to talk, and it hurts. And I've seen people go through this. I saw my mother go through this when she was alive, but it never works out well. Nobody can understand you. So, anyways, a few days later, they take me to a different hospital. They said that my heart was so bad that they had to put a defibrillator and a pacemaker, an ICD. And an ICD is a implantable cardioverter defibrillator device. And what it does is, if you've ever seen any show with medical personnel or EMTs and the person flatlines and dies, they put those paddles on them and shock them and clear and all this. That's what it is. But it's inside my chest. It's right here. It's this little box right here. And what it does is, if my heart goes too fast, it sends a pulse. And when it sends the pulse, that's the box's way of saying, hey, calm down. And if my heart doesn't listen, then the box sends a shock. And if you ever put a penny in a light socket, if you've ever touched a doorknob when you've had too much static electricity, it's nothing like that. This is basically like having a cattle prod put to your heart. This is somebody, the biggest guy this is John Cena walking up to you and punching you in the heart, and doing it with a fist surrounded by electricity. It hurts. It's painful. That happened to me about 7 months after it was implanted in me. I hadn't taken my medication for a while because I had changed jobs, and I didn't have insurance, and medication is really fucking expensive. And I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to do at least one whole cast just about the ACA and the medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry, and why we need single payer Medicaid for all. That's one thing I'm a huge advocate for. So, anyways, in February of last year, I was helping our roommates move into our current house, and I hadn't had my medication for a while, but I felt fine, because I'm one of those horrible people that once I start feeling better, normally I stop taking the medication because, well, I'm feeling better and medication's expensive. So if I don't need it, why should I spend money to take it? Yeah, I know, it's stupid, but I also smoked for 27 years. What do you want? So anyways, I was helping move some furniture into the moving van, and all of a sudden I feel this mule kick in my chest. And I almost blacked out. And then as I was getting down out of the truck, another one. And then as I'm walking to the apartment to get my partner, another one. And then we get in the car, and one more. But at that point, I had my partner again. And she, once again, is, for those of you that don't know her, she's really the brains of the outfit here. She got me to calm down. She got me to start breathing. She got me to start regulating myself. And by the time I got to the hospital, they were able to hook me up to the machine. They said the machine tells them, hey, you're doing okay. The defibrillator did what it was supposed to do. And by the way, we notice you haven't taken your medicine in a long time because it's not in your bloodstream. What's going on with that? So I told them, I didn't have insurance. I told them that I didn't have the money for the medication. And so they worked with me. They got me back on my medication. And this right here, this, what I'm telling you now, is the reason mainly that I'm doing this, that I'm doing the video cast, and that I started doing the What's Wrong with Wes Facebook page, because I will tell you, nothing terrifies me more than feeling that shock again. And every once in a while, if you ever see me in public, or if you ever see, if you know me, then every once in a while you'll see me doing this. The reason I do that is because my heart will skip a beat, or I'll have just done something that I think may cause my heart to go too fast, and it causes me anxiety. Anxiety is not just being worried about something. Anxiety is worrying about something to the point where you can't function. And that's kind of what happened to me because of my hyperthyroidism, because I have to have a surgery to take this out. And so about 6 months ago, I had gone to have a stress test. And when I went to have that stress test, they did a chemical stress test, which is where they inject you with this medicine, and it's supposed to speed your heart up to simulate being on the treadmill, because they were actually kind of worried about putting me on the treadmill because of some of the things I experienced. So I had the stress test, and then right after I had that stress test, for the next few days, I noticed that I couldn't walk across a room without my heart just racing, and it scared me because of what had happened before that, because of the kick in the chest and the defibrillator going off. And so nobody would believe me. I called my doctors. I went in for tests. By the time I got to the hospital to have the test run, my heart was fine, and nobody was believing that this was going on. They thought it was just anxiety at the time, which it partly was. Most likely it partly, it was a little bit of anxiety. But then finally it came to a head the night before. They were supposed to do a angioplasty to see what was going on, because the stress test had come back with some odd readings, and my cardiologist at the time, and my current cardiologist, he had wanted me to have the angioplasty to see what was going on in there so they could figure out what was going on. And the night before that happened, my heart just started racing. I work at a call center. I fix computers over the phone. But my heart just started racing. I had to put my customer on hold. And by the time the EMTs got there, once again, my heart had calmed down. But I told them I wanted to go to the hospital. I was adamant about it at this point. I needed to go to the hospital and have this checked out. And while they had me hooked up to the portable EKG machine, the EMT finally saw my heart, where it would spike from 60 to 120 to 130 to 150, and then back down to 90, and then back down to 60. And he finally was somebody that had seen this, and he believed me. I finally had somebody on my side. Yes! Vindication! Shit, that means I'm not crazy, which means my heart really is messed up. So we go to the hospital. They do the angiogram, or the angioplasty. They see that I've got 99% blockage in my arteries. And the doctor tells me, okay, we're going to do this procedure. It's a laser angioplasty, and it's basically like the same thing as when they stick the balloon in there and blow it up, and it unblocks your veins, except this is all done with lasers. He said it's either going to work or it's not, and if it doesn't work, we're going to have to do more stents. So the next day, I wake up and I'm fine. They did the procedure and cleared out. I have 100% flow through, so everything is good. But because of what happened, I constantly worry about this. I constantly stop, and I constantly think, oh my God, is this when it's happening? Because there's a stillness that kind of goes over you just before it happens. And I remember that. I remember that day in the moving truck where I'm moving stuff back and forth, and I feel great. And then suddenly my body goes still inside me. It's not a spiritual thing. It's a completely physiological thing. I went like, I felt the flush come over me. And so now whenever I feel that flush come over me, I stop. And I wait for it. And I wait for it. And I wait for it. And it never happens. It hasn't happened since then. But it doesn't stop in my head. I'm constantly waiting for it. For those of you that have siblings, older siblings, and they used to do that game that they thought was great and funny and hilarious, where they would jump out at you every day when you get home from school. And yes, I do have an older brother, And he played this game. He loved this game. But if you have an older sibling, you know this. They wait for you to get home, and they jump out at you, and they scare the shit out of you for a week. And then they never do it again. But for the next month after that, every day you come home, and you slowly open the door, and you look around the corner. But they're out playing with their friends at that point. They've grown tired of that game. My body has finally, I'm pretty sure, grown tired of that game, but I'm still looking for it to jump out at me. And that's anxiety. That's when something gets so bad that you can't control how you feel about it, and you worry that it's going to happen, even though logically you know it's probably not going to happen. Logically, I know I'm most likely okay. But logic has no place in the emotional makeup of the human condition. It really doesn't. You can know something. You can know for a fact that it's going to happen, or it's not going to happen, or it's going to be okay, or it's not going to be okay. But it doesn't mean that emotionally and mentally you accept it. And that's what I'm going through. And that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm talking to you, YouTube. Now, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here because it's 11:30 at night and I actually have to go to bed. But my next one is going to be me talking about my journey over the last few weeks after I get the larger pacemaker, which I have now, I haven't smoked for over a year and a half now. But I still have to have this taken out. I have to have this removed, and that's a whole other set of things that I need that I'll talk about. And once again, it touches on the American Health Care Act, which most people call Obamacare. It talks about medication and the procedures that I have to go through, and the insurance industry, and how much I hate that. So thank you guys for listening. If you like this, like it, share it. Tune in again. I will be here all week. But a couple other things that I did want to address while I'm sitting here is this is me. This is going to just be me talking. I'm not staging this, as you can see. I'm in my garage. This is not my car, by the way. It's a really nice car. It belongs to one of my roommates. It's not staged. There's not going to be any music. There's not going to be any intro. I'm saving that for the other show that I'm going to be doing that ties into my other project called Eye on That. I'll talk a little bit about that, but I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that because I don't want those two things to intersect. This is a very personal thing for me. That's something that I'm trying to get off the ground to actually be able to get out of the daily grind. But if you want, you can check that out as well. Eye on That. Look for the videos coming for that pretty soon. I just finished watching the X-Files reboot. Really excited about that. I hope they keep it going past the next 6 episodes. But like I said, thank you again for tuning in, for watching this. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions or if you have any comments or anything, put it down here in the comments section. I will read the comments. If you're being a dick or if you're just being an asshole, I will delete those comments and try to find a way to get you blocked because I don't need that in my life. I'm doing this as a therapy, sort of, and the people that are reading this and are listening to this and watching this may be doing the same thing. They don't need that in their lives. So I've heard all the horror stories about YouTube comments. I've never experienced it because this is my very first video that I'm putting on YouTube. But like I said, just don't be a dick. Seriously. Try to give constructive feedback. If something is upsetting, I completely understand that. Let me know. Next time I'll give a trigger warning before I start talking about that particular thing. I am open to feedback. I am open to criticism. I'm not open to hate and vitriol. So thanks again. You guys have a great evening. Have a great week. This is Wes with What's Wrong with Wes. Thank you.